Okay, Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh and good evening to everyone. I hope all of you are in the place of health. Okay, for today, first I would like to say thank you to Muhammad Fadullah bin Anis and Muhammad Ali Haikal bin Zaidi for joining this discussion. Okay, for today we want to discuss about the Occupational Safety and Health Act. Okay, the Occupational Safety and Health Act is an act which provides the legislative framework to secure the safety, health, and welfare among all nation workforce and to protect others against risk to safety or health in connection with the activities of person at work. This act was gazetted on 24 February 1994 and may be cited as the Occupational Safety and Health Act 1994. This act is this act is a practical tool superimposed on existing safety and health legislation. Okay, now I have one question to Muhammad Fakrullah. Okay, for the first question is about role of OSH legal requirement in business management. Okay, for the first question to Muhammad Fakrullah, describe the risk management process that occurs when an organization opens its door for business. Okay, Muhammad Fakrullah, you may share your answer.
Okay, Assalamualaikum. Uh, I will. Okay. The organisation are at risk every time they open their door for business. On any given day, an employee may be injured, a customer may have an accident, or consumer may be injured using the organisation product. Risk is defined as a specific contingency or peril because the situation that put organisation at risk can be so expensive when they do occur. Many organizations employ risk managers. Risk management consists of the various activity and strategy that organization can use to protect itself from situation, circumstance or events that may undermine its security. You are yourself a risk manager. You take action every day to protect your personal and economic security. Take, for instance, the act of driving an automotive, a risky undertaking. Every time you drive, you put yourself at risk of incurring injuries, medical bill, lawsuit and property damage. You manage the risk associated with driving using two broad strategies, reduction and transference. The risk associated with driving an automobile can be reduced by wearing a seatbelt, driving defensive and obeying traffic law. The remaining risk is managed by transferring it to an insurance company by purchasing a policy that covers both collision and liability. The same approach managing risk by using reduction and transfer strategy apply in workplace. Risk manager work closely with safety and health personnel to reduce the risk of accidents and injury on the job. They also work closely with insurance company to achieve the most effective to transfer possible.
Okay, thank you to Muhammad Fakrullah for the answer. Now I have one more question to Muhammad Fakrullah. Okay, what are the issues that safety and health managers face when it comes to production and safety? So Muhammad Fakrullah, can you share your answer?
Okay, the issue faced when it comes to production and safety. In industrial firm are business to make a profit. They do this by producing or processing product. Therefore, anything that interferes with production or processing is likely to be looked on unfavorably. At times, A health or safety measure will be viewed by some as interfering with productivity. A common example is removal of safety device from machine as way to speed production. Another is running machine until the last possible moment before a shift change rather than shutting down with enough time left to perform routine maintenance and housekeeping tasks. The modern marketplace has expanded globally and therefore become intensely competitive. To survive and succeed, today industry firm must continually improve its productivity, quality, cost, image, response time and service. This sometimes put professionals who are responsible for safety and health at odds with others who are responsible for productivity, quality, cost and response time. Sometimes this cannot be avoided. At other times, it is the fault of a management team that is less than fully committed to safe and health. However, sometimes the fault rests squarely on the shoulder of the safety and health manager. This is because one of the most important responsibility of the person is to convince highest management, middle management, supervisor and employee that in the long run, the safe and health way of doing business is also the competitive, profitable way of doing business. The next session is okay. Okay, for the next question, I want to ask Muhammad Alif. Okay. Based on the occupational, okay, there are many advantages resulting from systematic OSH management and the integration of OSH into the overall business activity. Can you list me 5 of these advantages indicated in the ILO working document concerning guideline on occupational safety and health management system ILO 2001 include?
Okay. First, the five advantage. First, alignment of OSH objective with business objective. Then, second, integration of OSH into business system. Then, establishment of a logical framework on which to establish an OSH program. Next, establishment of a universal set of policies, procedure, program, and goals that can be communicated more effectively. And lastly, applicability to and inclusiveness of cultural and country difference. Okay, next I will ask Arif one question from role of OSH legal requirement in business management. Okay, first question for Arif. Can you explain about the OSH Act coverage in the business management? Arif?
Okay, thank you to Mama Alif for the good question. Okay, the OSH Act applies to most employers. If an organization has even one employee, it is considered an employer and must comply with applicable sections of the Act. That includes all types of employers, from manufacturing and construction to retail and service organization. There is no exemption for small business. Although organizations with 10 or fewer employees are exempted for OSHA inspection and requirement to maintain injury and illness records. Although OSHA Act is the most comprehensive and far-reaching piece of safety and health legislation ever passed in this country, it does not cover all employers. Okay, in general, the OSH Act covers employers in all 50 states. the District of Columbia, Puerto Rico, and all other territories that fall under the jurisdiction of the US government. Exempted employers are persons who are self-employed, family farm that employ only immediate members of the family, federal agencies covered by other federal statutes, in case where these other federal statute do not cover working condition in a specific area, OSHA standard apply. Next, state and local government except to gain OSHA's approval of a state level safety and health plan. States must provide a program for state and local government employees that is at least equal to its private sector plan. Coal mines. Coal mines are regulated by mining specific law. Federal government agencies are required to adhere to safety and health standards that are comparable to and consistent with OSHA standards. For private sectors employees, OSHA evaluates the safety and health program of federal agencies. However, OSHA cannot assess fines or monetary damage against other federal agencies as it can against private sector employers. Okay, next. There are many OSHA requirements to which employer must adhere. Some apply to all employers except those exempted, whereas other apply only to specific types of employers, and these requirements cover areas of concern such as the following: fire protection, electricity, sanitation, air quality, machine use, maintenance, and repair. Okay, that's the answer for the question. Okay, next I want to ask Muhammad Fakrullah for the next question. What role are safety professionals expected to play in the future? Muhammad Fakrullah, can you answer the question?
Okay. As the world get flatter, as organization get leaner, and as global competition become more intense, the role of safety professional, whether manager, engineer, technology, technician or healthcare personnel, is changing. This is the message of Don Grover and Jim Spiegel in a series of articles in Occupational Health and Safety. According to the author, the core duty of safety professional has not changed. They are still responsible for preventing accident and incident that lead to injury to personnel and damage to property or the environment. However, the skills they will need to fulfill this duty are changing. In today's hyper-competitive business climate, fewer people are doing more work with fewer resources. Technology continue to change at rapid pace. Employees work with less supervision will be required to make more complex discussion. Baby boomers are retiring and being replaced by less experienced personnel, and older people are re-entering the workforce. Add to this that the expectation of safe and healthy workplace are higher than ever, and that society is even more litigious than ever, and the challenge of the modern safety professional become clear. According to Grover and Spiegel, what all this means is that being an expert in a specific safety and health related discipline are still necessary and important. It's no longer sufficient. Today, safety professionals will need to be able to partner with the top leader in their organization in way that promote the establishment and maintenance of a safety first corporate culture that have enhanced the performance of people, profession and product. To do this, safety professionals will have to become change leaders who are able to effectively challenge, engage, inspire and influence people at all levels. In other words, safety professionals will have to become transformational leader in their organization. Okay. I have one question to Muhammad Alif. So the question is, what is the improvement in the OSH management system that can result in list five of them?
Okay. First, decrease accident rate and related increase in productivity. Second, decrease worker compensation premiums. Next, improve employee perception of the physical and psychosocial working environment and increase hazard reporting by employees. 10. Increase worker participation in safety and health activity. And lastly, more organizational action taken on OSH issue. Okay, next I will ask Arif one more question. Okay, Arif, what are the important requirements that employers should keeping the employee informed?
Okay, thank you to Mama Alif for the question. Okay, one of the most important requirement of the OSHA Act is communication. Employers are required to keep employees informed about safety and health issues that concern them. Most of OSHA's requirements in this area concern the posting of material. Employers are required to post the following material at location where employee information is normally displayed. OSHA Poster 2203, which explains employees' right and responsibility as prescribed in the OSH Act. The state version of this poster may be used as a substitute. Next, summarize of variance requires of all types. Okay, next, copies of all OSHA citations received for failure to meet standards. Unlike other informational material, citation must be posted near the site of the violation. They must remain until the violation is corrected or for a minimum of 3 days, whichever period is longer. Last, OSHA Form 300A, Summary of Workplace Injuries and Illness. Okay, each year the new summary must be posted by February 1 and must remain posted until April 30. Okay, that's all for me. Thank you. Okay, next, we go to the next our discussion topic, that is Occupational Safety and Health Act in Malaysia and its salient features. Okay, first question about this topic, I would like to ask Muhammad Fakrul, what are the general responsibilities of employers and self-employed people to their workers? Okay, Muhammad Fakrullah, you can answer the question.
Okay, for the question, it should be the duty of every employer and every self-employed person to ensure, so far as is practicable, the safety, health and welfare at work of all his employees, without prejudice to the generality of subsection. The matter to which the duty extends include in particular the provision and maintenance of plan and system of work that are, so far as is practicable, safe and without risk to health. The making of arrangement of ensuring, so far as practicable, safety and absence of risk to health in connection with the use of operation, handling, storage and transport of plant and substance. The provision of such information, instruction, training and supervision as is necessary to ensure, so far as is practicable, the safety and health at work of his employee. So far as is practicable, regard any place of work under the control of the employee or self-employed person, the maintenance of it in condition that is safe and without risk to the health, and the provision and maintenance of the means of the access to and egress from it that are safe and without such risk. The provision and maintenance of work environment for his employees that is, so far as is practicable, safe without risk to health, and adequate as regard facilities for their welfare at work. So next, I have three questions for Muhammad Alif. For the first question, what are the responsibility of the employee and self-employed worker to other apart from their own employees who may be present at the workplace?
Okay, thank you, Muhammad Fakrullah. Okay, for the first point, to ensure that the other who are at the workplace are not in any way exposed to the safety and health hazard due to the usage of dangerous machinery, plant process. And second point is to provide safety and health information to other who may be exposed to risk while the worker are carrying out their work. Okay.
Okay. For the second question for Muhammad Alif, how to manage occupational safety and health at the workplace?
Okay. Uh, Managing occupational safety and health at the workplace is no different than managing the other aspects of business. The exception is the require the commitment of the proprietor or owner to complete the following three steps. First, the workplace must have a policy statement on occupational safety and health. Second, planning, including the implementation of direct training, instruction, and auditing on occupational safety and health. And last, to take remedial action for any improvement to be made. Okay.
Okay. The last question for Muhammad Alif. What is the penalty employer fail to ensure safety, health and welfare of the employees at their workplace?
Okay. The employee, the employer who fail to ensure safety, health, and welfare of employees at the workplace shall 50,000 or imprisonment not exceeding 2 years or both. Okay. Now I will ask Arif one question from occupational safety and health. Okay, Arif, based on the Occupational Safety and Health Act in Malaysia, what are the general duty employees at work?
Okay, thank you to Muhammad Ali Haikal for the question. Okay, based on the Occupational Safety and Health Act in Malaysia, the general duties employees at work are to take responsible care for the safety and health of himself and other person
Based
who may
on
be
the
affected by
Occupational
his acts or omissions at work. To cooperate with his employer or any other person in the discharge of any duty requirement imposed on the employers or that other person by this act or any regulation made thereunder. Okay, last, to wear or use at all times any protection equipment or clothing provided by the employer for the purpose of preventing risk to his safety and health, and to comply with any instruction or measure and occupational safety and health instituted by his employer or any person by or under this act or any regulation made thereunder. Okay, that's all the answer from me. Okay, I think this discussion ends here.